favor relaxed marijuana laws. Overall, just over 52% feel laws governing marijuana should be relaxed, and there's a significant difference between francophones and anglophones on the issue. Among francophones, the figure is over 60%. Among Anglos, it falls to 45%. Also notable, a finding that 33.5% favor legalization of marijuana, just under 30% prefer decriminalization, and a shade over 32% opt for the drug to remain illegal. About 225,000 Canadian teenagers are believed to smoke marijuana every single day, and upwards of 3 million Canadians have smoked marijuana in the past year. All that despite the fact that it is an illegal drug. But it wasn't always. Today, in the first of a four-part series, Tanya Churchmuch takes a look at the history of marijuana.
Marijuana, Mary Jane, weed, pot, herb, bud, reefer. It's a plant that goes by many names, and it's a plant that's been around pretty much forever.
The first one that discovered the properties was Emperor Chen Nung in 2737 before Christ. He's the one that also discovered the properties of tea.
Here in Quebec, marijuana is believed to have come over with the first settlers in the 17th century.
Louis Hébert, who was Champlain's pharmacist, apothicaire, and he wrote how one of the first things they did when they arrived in a new colony was plant hemp, which is what they called it at the time.
Until the 1920s, marijuana was regularly used for both medicine and relaxation. But in 1922, Canada's first female judge, Emily Murphy, published a series of alarmist articles about pot, saying smokers had a mentality of that of idiots, and that if this drug is indulged to any great extent, it ends in the untimely death of its addict. In 1924, marijuana was made illegal.
One day, somehow, a minister said, and we now have added a new substance to the list of prohibited substances, and this is called marijuana. That was it. There was no debate. There were no questions asked.
Play faster.
Throughout the 30s and 40s, pot smokers were portrayed as sex-addicted criminals. Popular movies like 1939's Reefer Madness helped promote the idea. It was in the 1960s that things started changing.
Presto, 66 it started, in the summer of love, 1967, swept through all the high schools and campuses. About 10% of the students started smoking pot that never did before.
In 1969, Pierre Trudeau commissioned the Le Dain report on marijuana.
And at that time, they were already recommending to decriminalize the possession of cannabis and even to allow people to cultivate it for their own purposes.
A proposal the House of Commons rejected. Instead, government kept tightening drug laws.
Penalties have been significantly and gradually increased up until the late 1980s, in fact, including, in fact, a life imprisonment for trafficking in cannabis, for example.
It was in the late 80s and early 90s that marijuana advocacy groups started pushing for the liberalization of pot for both recreational and medicinal uses. But it's still illegal. And on December 3rd, Boris Saint-Maurice will find out if he'll be found guilty of trafficking to patients at Montreal's Compassion Club. If he wins, it'll be a groundbreaking decision. And there's another big case coming up.
The Supreme Court of Canada, which is going to be hearing December 13th, a series of 3 cases that are challenging the constitutionality of marijuana prohibition for recreational use.
If the judges rule it unconstitutional, it could mean the end of 80 years of marijuana prohibition. In Montreal, this is Global's Tanya Churchmuch reporting.
Well, what do you think about the marijuana debate? You can share your views by clicking on to canada.com/Montreal and following the links to the Spotlight column.